there's a lot of complaints about Sniper. I've complained about Sniper in the past. I'm one of these people that sort of thinks Sniper probably shouldn't be in the game, but I'm not going to go through those complaints, the ones you've heard before, because I've noticed something interesting about Sniper's inclusion in the game that I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about before. And it happened when I introduced some new friends to TF2. This happened a few times to me now. I introduced someone to TF2. They're like, you play TF2 a lot, let's hop on together, right? So we load up a game. And then immediately they're faced with the choice, which class do I pick? And generally I think like, well, Soldier is probably the best class for a new player. So I'm like, try playing Soldier. And they get really bored because they don't know how to rocket jump yet. And Soldier, I think of Soldier as a high mobility class, like the most mobile class in the game. But if you don't know how to rocket jump, Soldier is actually really, really slow and kind of boring, right? So, they go through some other classes. I'm like, maybe try Pyro, and they don't really understand how to position themselves on Pyro and just end up holding WM1 into the enemy team and dying repeatedly. And it's like, we go through the whole process. They maybe play without B some days, and then eventually they land on Sniper. And people have experience with hit scan aim. They have experience playing other first-person shooter video games. So they don't, modern FPS games, they don't have pretty much any of the mechanics of any other TF2 classes. Like you don't have projectiles in other video games that are popular and modern. In a way that wasn't true when TF2 first came out. When TF2 first came out, using projectile weapons, having a rocket launcher, a grenade launcher, these sorts of things in your game was pretty much the default, right? Like, or at least everyone who'd played FPS games would recognize that from Quake at the time. But that's not the case for a modern FPS player, right? Most FPSs these days focus on entirely hit scan aim, and people aren't familiar with how to use projectiles effectively. They don't know the glory of hitting an air shot. Unfortunately, it's very sad. But they've played Counter-Strike before, they've played Valorant before, whatever. They know how to click heads, is what I'm saying. So when they pick Sniper, they are not suddenly like, oh, I have to learn how to rocket jump, or I have to learn how to air blast, or I have to learn how to build buildings, I have to learn how to disguise, like all of the weird TF2 mechanics. They're like, I can understand this. I sit in the back and I click heads, like this is something I've done a million times before. And so they immediately get the success, And then secondly, unlike the other TF2 classes, Sniper is long range. He doesn't need to help his team. He doesn't need to do anything. He doesn't have to put himself in danger. So they can sit in the back and just click heads all day. And all of a sudden they start seeing success where they'd never seen success before. They actually start getting kills and living for, multiple kills, maybe even a small kill streak, It's like they haven't actually learned anything about the game, but they've picked the class that rewards them specifically for not learning anything about the game. And by doing that, they're able to be like, oh, okay, I've been introduced to TF2 now. And then they get sort of stuck in Sniper as a bit of a noob trap. And in the end, they quit, they leave, they get bored because Sniper is very one note. He's like Heavy. He just kind of does one thing. There's not really a varied playstyles for Sniper. You're not really putting yourself at risk. That you're not really, there's a lot of stuff you're not doing. You're not really playing Team Fortress 2 in a lot of ways. You're just sort of sitting in the back clicking heads. I know, sorry, Sniper mains, but you're playing Counter-Strike basically, right? You're playing CSGO. And it's like, whatever. A lot of people just don't really find that very interesting. They're like, well, why would I do this? And then they stop playing. They stop playing after a while, or they get stuck in the Sniper sort of vacuum black hole, and they never escape. And they're never forced to learn any of the TF2 unique mechanics. If that person who they start the game, they end up playing Sniper, and they play maybe 30 hours or so of Sniper before giving up on TF2 and going back to Marvel Rivals or whatever is popular these days. I don't know. If that person had spent those 30 hours learning to rocket jump, they'd be having a way better time, I imagine. Maybe that's just my theory, but that's how I feel. And so I think Sniper kind of acts like a noob trap, where it rewards new players for doing something they're already familiar with in other games, and doesn't have the little initial difficulty curve that the other classes have, where you have to learn TF2 specific mechanics. You have to learn to actually play this specific video game, not just first-person shooters in general. You have to learn Team Fortress 2. It doesn't force you to do that when you play Sniper, and so they never do. And this is why, by the way, every single game you play in casual has like 5 bad snipers, right, doing nothing to help their team. Because that's the other thing. This isn't very fun for anyone, sure, they might be getting some initial success on Sniper, but they're not really going to improve very much because they're not forced to learn how TF2 works, right? Like, everyone's heard this advice. If you want to get better at whatever your main is, play other classes to understand them, right? If you want to get better at, Pyro, then you should play a lot of Soldier so you can understand rocket timings and air blast timings and that sort of thing, right? Like, these kinds of ideas I think are pretty common. If you're just playing Sniper, you don't get this breadth of understanding of the game. You don't have to make decisions about your positioning, how aggressive you're going to be. You don't have to have a good understanding of advantage and disadvantage and Uber tracking or Uber in general. You're never involved in an Uber. You never get to do the fun part of TF2, which is team fights around chokes, right? Like, that's the fun part of TF2. You never get to do that when you play Sniper. So it's not really that fun for the person playing Sniper. It's not very fun for their teammates because they have basically functionally an AFK player, right? Like, they have one of their player slots is filled up by a noob sniper. It's like a noob sniper is not really helping to push the objective, doesn't really understand what like an important kill is, probably isn't getting many kills to begin with, just isn't really helping the team, not supporting they're just kind of sitting there doing nothing. So it's not very fun to have teammates who are just kind of noob snipers sitting in the back line missing all of their shots. And it's not very fun to play against because you're still playing against a sniper, right? And Sniper is, as many people have already talked about at length in other videos, kind of fundamentally unfun to fight against for a number of reasons. So, it's just kind of bad. It's just kind of bad for everyone involved. So this idea of like Sniper as a noob trap, I think it should be more understood by the TF2 community. It's not the case that every person who eventually becomes a Sniper main got sucked into this noob trap. There are a lot of people who play a lot of classes and just happen to also really enjoy playing Sniper, which, I disagree. but fuck it, there's nothing I can do about it, I mean, look, if we want to get really spicy here, let's do it. Let's piss them off. Let's piss off the Sniper mains. Fuck it. If you wanted to play a video game that's all about precise hit scan, aim, and clicking heads and watching corners, you'd be playing Counter-Strike, right? Like, you'd be playing Counter-Strike because that's what that game is all about. But that game gives other players like counterplay, in the form of smokes and flashes and stuff, right? And everyone's on a level playing field. I can one-tap you, but you can also one-tap me. You'd be playing that video game if that's what you wanted to do. The fact that you're not doing that kind of says to me that what you want is like to have an unfair advantage. I know, I'm being very mean right now. But it's like, I feel like what you actually find fun about playing Sniper is not Sniper gameplay. It's just kind of being rewarded for being able to click heads with no counterplay. I think if you're a Sniper who's like, yeah, I don't really like playing Counter-Strike, I just like playing Sniper in TF2. I'm like, yeah, dude, okay, something's weird going on there. So like, what's going, if you're just a CS player who's like, yeah, I just really love clicking heads, I'll do it in every video game, then that's respectable. I may not like it, but at least I get it. I don't know, man. I know I'm getting a bit edgy here, but fuck snipers, man. But Sniper as a noob trap, I feel like this should be better understood by the community. Like, trying to direct new players, even though it's tempting, trying to direct new players away from Sniper and push the new players through the first like 10-20 hours where they actually have to learn Team Fortress 2. Every video game has a learning curve. Like, I remember when I first started playing Counter-Strike, my first like week of playing Counter-Strike was fucking miserable. I didn't understand spray control, I didn't understand the maps, I just didn't understand the game at all. It was terrible. I just died. I got 0 kills. It was horrible, right? Like, but what was nice about that is that every single kill I got was like, oh, fuck yeah, it was a big win. I remember the same when I started playing TF2. Every single time I got a kill, I was like, hell yeah, man, hell yeah, that's fun. That's part of learning the game. The fact that like you have this option where you just get to be completely safe, and if you miss a shot, it doesn't fucking matter because you're 10 miles away from the enemy team and no one could possibly punish you for that. It's like, you don't get to be involved in an Uber push, a super fun part of playing the video game. You never get to be involved in that. You never have to learn like anything about the game specific to TF2. You just sit in the backline clicking heads all day. It's like, I feel like you're missing out on what makes the game fun. You know, I feel like you're, and either, you know, there's only really two options here. Either you stop playing the game after like, 10 hours or whatever, because you're not doing any of the interesting stuff, and so you're just going to decide the game's boring. Or you branch out into other classes, in which case you might be more likely to stick with TF2. Or, you know, you end up becoming a sniper main, in which case you are the scourge of the community and ruin the video game for everyone. So it's like, there's no good outcome here. There's no good outcome here. Listen, I know I've been a bit aggressive. I've been a bit overly aggressive in this video towards sniper mains. Towards sniper as a class. I know a lot of people don't think sniper's that bad. That's fine. I'm kind of playing it up for the meme. But I do think it's a problem. And I do think we should pay attention to it when introducing new people to TF2. That's it. That's the whole video. By the way, 1,000 subscribers. I'm going to do a 12-hour long video about Dust Bowl. Just like Casual TF2's 12-hour long video about Badwater. So subscribe if you want to see a 12-hour long YouTube video about Dust Bowl. We all love Dust Bowl, don't we, folks? Yes, I'm going to make a 12-hour... Yeah.